Hello and welcome to Adrenaline Fueled Firearms. I'm Scott and I'll be presenting the opinions and commentary for today. I hope you enjoy, I hope you'll like and subscribe to the video, and I hope you'll keep watching for future videos. Since this will be the first official public video, I'll be running it kind of a streaming line of thought commentary. I'll also be hopefully not having to edit it too much, but since it is the first, I wanted to start off with something really basic. I wanted to discuss some considerations that need to be on your mind when you purchase your first firearm. And some of them obviously will also carry over into future firearms purchases if you choose to have future firearms purchases. I think the first thing you really need to sit down and consider and take a little time on is the purpose for your firearms purchase. Now, there are a ton of purposes out there. What you need to do is rationalize in your own mind so that you can determine the other factors from the purpose, because the purpose is going to have the most effect on all the other factors and considerations when it comes to purchasing your first firearm. Now, that being said, purpose can be almost anything. I mean, home defense, maybe you were in the military and shot and want to get back into it. You know, this is your first firearm. But the purpose could also be just because I freaking want to. You can't purchase a firearm unless you're at least 18 to 21, so you're an adult. Hopefully it's your money, and what you do with it is really pretty much up to you. But you do need to realize what the purpose is and think about it and plan accordingly. So once you've determined your purpose, you really need to look at affordability. Not just when it comes to affordability of money, what other considerations are there in affordability? Well, some things that some people don't think about as much is not necessarily just the affordability of the firearm, but whether or not local regulations require you to have some form of storage or other safety device. That's an affordability consideration as far as your money affordability goes. But you also need to consider impact above and beyond just budgetary concerns. You need to consider safety and, let's call it, social impact of firearms ownership. Now, we all see all kinds of posts, positive and negative, about firearms all over the freaking internet, so I don't need to dig into it. I don't need to air my own personal political concerns on the issue. But what you need to consider as a potential firearm owner is what types of impacts will it have on you personally and your personal social circle. It's oddly a very involved thing when it comes to the social impacts, but also not just the social impacts. Like I said, when it comes to safety devices and things like that, you really need to consider as part of your affordability what safety devices are necessary for your own peace of mind above and beyond any considerations of just what local legislation is telling you to do. I don't have children, so I don't have some of the considerations that people with children have. I mean, you really can't just depend on not telling them that you have it and sticking it up on the top shelf in the closet as a serious safety consideration. You know, if you don't want your children to know you have it, that's your choice. But just throwing it up on the back shelf and ignoring it is not really great, because I'm here to tell you, as a kid, when I was a kid, they go looking. So, and I'm sure as a parent you realize that children tend to go where you don't want them to go first off and most often. So you need to be sure that above all other things, you can afford the safety features that you need to keep your home and family safe from accidents. I mean, if your reason is home security and protecting your family, and then you leave the firearm unsecured and someone in your family ends up getting hurt, you really didn't follow the purpose, did you? So, after you've considered your affordability and your purpose, they blend together, because that's going to determine roughly what your firearm is going to cost. I mean, you have a lot of different considerations when it comes to purpose, and when you look at affordability, that's going to sort of drive cost and where you want to be in the price line. And you're going to want to do a lot of research. I recommend going out to local dealerships of firearms stores, gun shops, whatever they like to call them in your area. You might even check on gunsmiths I mean, if you have a firearm and you shoot a lot, it's probably going to need to be fixed at some point, even if it is a dependable firearm. Accidents happen. Whatever number you come up with in the end, monetarily, I seriously suggest you tack about 50% extra onto that, because there will always be factors that you don't foresee, and running out of money, it's going to make the experience a lot less pleasant than it will be if you'd planned ahead and just gone, okay, I have X amount of slush fund set aside. Oh crap, I ran into this problem. I need to go ahead, dig in the slush fund, take care of this. Now I have that. Now you're back into what's hopefully a pleasant shooting experience. So I think the best thing to do then, once you've nailed down those two factors, is start looking at your research. Look into your specifics, brands, makes, models. What are you looking at? What's local legislation say? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, a lot of stuff out there. Let's say you want to start off with an AR-15. You know, I specify 15 because you also have AR-10s, but let's say you're considering an AR-15. It's a relatively common firearm with a lot of versatility and a lot of interchangeability. Well, you need to look at the factors. Okay, is my lower receiver going to be a traditional rifle stock? Oh, I don't know. Carbine? Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, wait. Pistol. Lots of choices, even when you're just looking at the AR-15, and that's just half of the firearm. That's the part of the firearm that's actually serial numbered, and that you'll need to go to an FFL dealer in person and fill out your paperwork and have your background check done. Once you've moved past the lower in your research on that, now you're into what we call the upper assembly. So there are a lot of components in the upper assembly. You need to see what different vendors have what components included in the upper assembly and what you're looking for in the upper assembly when it comes to what you want to shoot, how much it's going to cost, you know, what your overall purpose is, you know, and what your local legislation is. When I was on active duty in the military in the 90s, when I went to armor school, they defined an assault weapon as an automatic or semi-automatic weapon that had a bayonet stud, which made it differ from the battle rifle, which was the previous military rifle series, which didn't have a bayonet stud, but were still semi-automatic or automatic weapons. Local legislation may say that a pistol grip makes your firearm an assault weapon. You know, that is a consideration with legislation. A lot of your modern uppers that you'll purchase separately don't have bayonet stud. They'll have your handguard, Picatinny rail, accessories you can put on there, and a lot of other factors. So you need to be aware of local legislation with regards to barrel lengths, what defines an assault weapon, what regulations are in place for assault weapons, and that's still just the AR-15s. We haven't even got into dealing with handguns. Is the handgun going to be what you're looking at for the purpose that you have in mind? For instance, home defense. Some people enjoy a handgun for home defense. Makes a lot of sense. It's compact, easy to store. You put it on the bedside inside a secure box so that your children can't get into it. I mean, there's a lot to be said for a handgun. What you also need to consider is the fact that the majority of handguns fire a solid projectile that's going to go through walls. So, depending on where your bedroom is located and where an intruder encounters you, handgun may not necessarily be the best choice for home defense. In that case, you may want to go with something more along the lines of a shotgun. Now, yes, there are projectiles that will still go through walls available for the shotgun. It scatters a lot of projectiles over a wide area. It can definitely affect pets, plants, and other household objects. It's a consideration. Like I said, hopefully it will take you a long time to settle down and determine what you want to use after you've determined your purpose. You need to carefully look into all of those factors and considerations. I honestly can't stress enough the safety involved, especially when you're dealing with selecting a firearm for home defense. You really need to think very hard about not just what it's going to do to stop a possible intruder. You need to also think about how it's going to affect your home, your family, and your neighbors. Just running out and buying the highest caliber AR upper, which is, by the way, a 50 Beowulf, and will go through your walls, your neighbor's walls, and possibly his neighbor's walls before it decides to stop, is probably not the best choice, depending on where you live. Also, it's louder than crap, and if you don't have hearing protection on when you fire that turkey, you're going to be in the ER for ruptured eardrums also. So honestly, at the end of this, a possible takeaway is you may literally determine that if your original purpose was home defense, you're better off buying, oh, I don't know, one of my personal favorites, a CO2 fire extinguisher. Because I guarantee you that if you hit an intruder with the discharge from a CO2 fire extinguisher in the hallway, A, you're not going to deafen or seriously injure any family members, and he's not going to be having a very good day while you dial 911. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for me. I just hope that you take your opportunities, do your research, and if you enjoyed this video and the sarcasm that was included for free, I hope that you'll like and subscribe to it and watch for our videos in the future where I'll do some reviews on actual firearms and we'll look at the more adrenaline-fueled aspects of owning a firearm. Meanwhile, thank you, and stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope you have a great day.